So I'm Jon Macy, and I'm a cartoonist of the graphic novel Teleny Camille, which is an adaptation of the anonymous Victorian novel Teleny, attributed to Oscar Wilde and his circle of friends. The book was not very well known in the United States. It's well known in Europe, especially in France and UK, and so I started working on it, and the main reason that I was so convinced that it would make a good graphic novel was that the writing is incredibly visually dense. It's 148 pages of a novella, and it took me 250 pages to do it as a graphic novel. I mean, that just says a lot about how layered and specific they were about in their description, and it's Victorian, so like they're incredibly lush in their aesthetic. So anyway, I started it in about '95, and I was working on it, and I got the first 3 chapters done, and I got stalled for a lot of different reasons. One was that I reread what I had done, and I had decided that it was static. It was really dead, and I was adding illustrations to the words, but I wasn't living the book. So I put it down, and it was about 5 years later, and I wasn't doing comics at all. I had reached a point in my life where I was very worried that I had made a bad choice in choosing art as a career and choosing it as as a life choice to do art, and so. But I was miserable. So around 2004, I picked it up again, and just for the sole reason that I could just not live with myself without finishing the project, but without. This is what made me happy, so I'm going to do it. And so I picked it up again, but this time when I started working on it again. It needed to be my own, so I started changing things. I started, they have, almost every scene in the novel takes place in an opera box. So I started changing the scenes up and creating new environments and, hot houses, and gardens and parks and underground areas. And so it became a more of a personal project for me, and that's, I think, when it actually came alive, and that's when I became more of a contributor as opposed to just somebody who adapts. I have gotten nothing but great reviews and press, and I'm just really shocked. I mean, this is when I was working on it on my own. I was coming from a place where I had only been reviewed twice in 20 years. So I just assumed that whatever I did that had gay content and gay sex in it, and it was an erotic book, was just going to get just completely sidelined, and I was not going to get any reaction whatsoever. So my book was for me, and I was just going to do it for my own personal gratification, and so to speak. And I did not expect this kind of acceptance from straight and gay people, and the huge accolades that I've had, and the not just like the comic people. A lot of the people who have liked this work are academics, serious, hardcore, professors who and young students doing dissertations on comparative literature, and they're like writing to me, and I'm like, this is porn. Don't forget that. But they're so, they're so eager and they're so excited and they're so gratified that, I don't know, this book is amazing. The Teleny Camille is an amazing gay historical document. It's gay men speaking about their time in the late Victorian era, when gay identity was being formed, modern day gay identity was being formed, and it's in their own words. So that is just a huge thing that because most historical documents we just assume what we think that they are saying, but here we get in their own words and we get to know for sure. And all the people, all the Oscar Wilde and his friends, and as much as we laugh at them carrying sunflowers and green carnations and being flamboyant, it is incredibly brave of them to have done this. And they could be imprisoned or killed or exiled for this, and they did it anyway. So I'm a pale shadow to the bravery that they have, but I benefit from their bravery, and then they inspire me to continue and to be brave in my own writing and to speak for my own life and my own generation. So it's just I'm so impressed with them, and I'm so in awe of them, and I'm just if I could do anything to contribute to the popularity of this novel, I will do it, and I'm just happy to be in their company. So I did a self-published limited edition version of it, of 100 copies, which is actually kind of interesting because when the first version of Teleny that came out was 200 copies, and it was just privately distributed between these Victorian gentlemen, and it was totally underground. And so I wanted to do 200 copies too, but I couldn't afford it. It was just like thousands of dollars. So I did 100 copies, and I showed it to my old friend Zan Christensen, which is he's the founder of Prism Comics, which is a nonprofit that promotes LGBT comics and awareness of their comics. So, and he and I were last year, he and Justin Hall and Zan Christian and I were at Justin's apartment 2009, right after WonderCon, and we cornered Zan, and Justin and I bullied him into becoming a publisher because he had the perfect skill set of book design and promotion and internet savvy and everything that he needed. And so we sat on him until he agreed, and but we weren't even really sure if we had succeeded until a couple of weeks later he emailed us and he told us that he got the book, the business grant or the business loan. He got the business loan, and we were ready to go. So Teleny Camille was his first book, and he started Northwest Press, and it turned out to be the absolute perfect thing he could have done, because in this time when during this recession and all the big publishers are they only want to publish blockbuster books. They don't want to publish take chances on things. So he has filled this vacuum, and I mean, there's so many writers I know today that are on unemployment because they've been laid off, and I think that we might look back 10 years from now and realize that this has been this great boom in literature. And even the LAMBDAs have stated that they've had more small presses nominating books this year than any other time, and that's because the big presses are not promoting LGBT books. And so this is the this is like in the late 70s, early 80s when there was a um, gay and lesbian book boom. It's happening again. And so it's an exciting, very exciting time for LGBT books. And I'm especially excited about queer graphic novels. So things are definitely happening. And then we got nominated for the LAMBDA for Teleny Camille. So was Glamazonia by Justin Hall was nominated, and Justin and Zen and I went out to New York for the award ceremony, and it was just a magical night, and everybody was so amazingly good to us, even though we were the geeks. And I won. And so it takes a lot of guts to take a work that is erotic in nature and say this is serious writing, this is serious work. And the LAMBDA Foundation has been really amazing in their courage and their foresight, and just that you have something that's sex positive and you're saying this is good is that gets me where I live. So I do go erotic comics, and for a big national prestigious award to nominate me or to honor me is huge.